The year is 1999. That sentence brings me back to my senior kindergarten class when I was 5 years old, and we used to read out the date on the blackboard every single day. The year 1999 exists as a stain in my mind, however, as a memory that will not go away no matter how I try to forget it. 1999 marked the year I lost my first tooth. My first time on a plane, and unfortunately the early loss of my childhood innocence. That one memory that refuses to be wiped. It all started with that new, or old, TV. At that time, Pokemon was the latest fad to hit the school. Pokemon cards, games, stickers, and the most popular, the TV show. So, of course, every time that I came home from school, I would stay glued to the TV until Pokemon came on at 5. The only problem was that my dad would watch the news at 5:30 and Pokemon episodes were back-to-back, which meant I had to miss an episode every day, something I whined on and on about. My dad got tired of hearing me complain every day. That must have been why he went and bought another TV. My dad put the TV he bought in my room. Unfortunately, it was just an old, small boob tube with rabbit ears even. It also only had 12 channels available, not including the channel Pokemon was on. I recall I didn't care though. I was just thrilled that I got my own TV in my room, and after surfing through the channels, I came to the conclusion that only Channel 2, TVO Kids, was worth watching, so I watched that channel for a while. It wasn't for another few months until I discovered Channel 21. One day, in April, I was flipping through the channels, trying to see if Pokemon was on. I pressed Channel 21 into the remote, hoping that there would be more channels, and to my delight, there was. My dad was surprised too, but he let me watch it because it seemed to have kids programs on it. The channel was called Caledon Local 21. And later I found out it was indeed broadcasted from the town of Caledon, Ontario, a town very close to my city. The shows I saw on Caledon Local 21 looked poorly made. I never understood what was going on in them half the time. However, as I grew up, every time I thought of that channel, I realized more and more how messed up the shows were. And I had to ask myself, what the fuck was I watching? The following will be a list of shows and episodes I remember seeing on Caledon Local 21. How I remember such detail even disturbs me, but I guess things like this stand out in your mind for a while. There were only 3 shows that I could find on the channel, probably because the channel was only operational between 4 p.m. and 9 p.m. April 1999. Booby Episode 6. Together. I recall Booby was a show where the characters were simply live-action hands, no puppets or anything, just hands. The show featured around a hand named Booby, who found himself in a new situation every episode. The show was only 5 minutes long and looked like it had been shot in front of a damp, decaying wall, with the hands always on a table with a red tablecloth, very low budget, obviously. The episode began with Booby trying to get ketchup out of a bottle. It actually showed him beating himself against the bottom of the bottle for like 3 minutes. Finally, another hand came by and looked at Booby. Together, the other hand said, and it began beating the bottle as well, until some ketchup finally squirted out all over the table. I remember chuckling at this part. Booby then stared at the ketchup mess for a few seconds, before turning towards the camera as it slowly zoomed in on him. Mr. Bear's Cellar Episode 12. Very sketchy name if you were looking at it nowadays. The show featured a guy wearing a bear mascot costume who would get a new visitor into his cellar every day. It was always a kid. The show was filmed with a camcorder, and not a very good one either. The police asked me a lot of questions about this show. The episode started with Mr. Bear sitting at the table playing checkers by himself. I didn't recognize it at first, but the table was the very same one from Booby. He sat there playing for a bit until there was a knock on the door. The camera then looked up the stairs at the door, where there was another knock, Mr. Bear climbed the stairs, and opened the door, revealing 2 young children. One was a boy about my age, and the other was a girl who looked about 8. Mr. Bear danced in delight, and then started talking to the kids. I couldn't hear any of them that well. I remember, though. Mr. Bear then led the kids into the cellar, which was quite dark, only lit by a small oil lamp on the table. I can't really remember that much more, except him singing a song which I couldn't hear too well either, probably because of that large bear mask. The episode ended with them playing hide-and-seek, with the kids hiding in a closet, and Mr. Bear counting. May, 1999. Soup and Spoon, I don't think, was even a show. I think it was more of a special movie thing. All I know is I stopped watching Calderon Channel 21 for a while because I thought the show was too stupid, especially since Pokemon now came on at 4:30 and 5. I don't remember much of this, but it showed a can of soup and a spoon, both attached to strings swinging back and forth, as if someone was holding them and dangling them in front of the camera. Interestingly enough, the show was shot in a basement, which looked like the one used in Mr. Bear's cellar. Like I said, I can't remember much. The only thing I can remember clearly was the end. The entire thing was only half an hour, and just included stuff I found stupid, such as the spoon chasing the soup around, trying to eat him. The ending showed a table, the one from Booby again, and about 7 kids sitting around it, each with a bowl of soup in front of them. They were sitting and looking at the camera, but with confused, almost frightened faces. The cameraman then held the can of soup in front of the kids and said, "Spoon's ready." And then it just stopped.